Boy.
Yeah.
Man. Welcome to Staynyolayne, man, where I bring you creative and unique conversations. The person I got in front of you is a longtime friend of mine. She's a good musician, man, a good person with humility, somebody that I know is open-minded and willing to change. My friend Adam Wilson, man.
Thanks for that, man.
Yes, sir, man. I ain't gonna lie, shit. It's been kind of weird how we kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
And how we kind of got to know each other. But before we start off, man, the meaning behind Staynyolayne is showing people how they can authentically be themselves and thrive. And the thing that I've always focused on is just people just being themselves, you know, not worried about a crowd, not worried about who's around to try to fit in. I never wanted that to be a thing, especially like I said. I mean, even us being from where we from, like being from DeKalb, like we know exactly the people that really wasn't like that, but because of the influence and the things that was around, like it drew them to be something that they really wasn't. And I ain't gonna lie, like as I got older, I started to see more examples of why I should stay in my lane. And I ain't gonna lie, I just end up making that a brand.
I love that, bro.
Man.
I think that's a cool brand. I mean, like, that's kind of how I live my life and, like, my artistry, my life, who I am. Like, I want to show people that you, just by being yourself, like, you can do whatever you want. In a way, not do whatever you want, but, like, you can get to where you want to go. You don't have to sell out. You can do those things that you want for yourself. You know what I mean? So I really fuck with that. I think it's a cool brand, and that was part of the reason, I've always fucked with you. Like you said, we kind of had, like, a weird way of knowing each other. Like, I don't know if we ever really kicked it, but like I always knew of you and I always respected you. I always thought you were like a really nice dude, and you were always really cool to me. So I'm happy to be on this podcast with you,
man. And as I explain what Staynyolayne means, what would be your definition of what Staynyolayne means to you?
I think the definition of it is everyone makes their own definition of what that is for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's about being authentic, and only you know how to be authentic. Like, no one else can tell you what's right for you. You know what I mean? So it's like just asking yourself those questions, even like what do I want, or what's true to me? Like all these people around me are telling me all these things I should do. School's like, oh, maybe you should, like, or you fit in one of these boxes and go work 9 to 5 or whatever it is. And some people, that might be right for them. Maybe that's their truth. Maybe that's authentic for them. To me, it was always, I never felt like I fit in. Even though I had a lot of friends, I was like the popular kid in high school, but like I never really felt like I truly fit in. And so I was always searching for like that kind of community, or like the people that I felt like understood me. But then I just realized that it's okay to be different, and it's okay to be yourself, and it's okay to not feel like you fit in, because that's what makes you unique. And in that uniqueness, you can kind of figure out how you uniquely contribute to the world,
Like, what type of group would you say that you more gravitated toward?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, like, I hung out with everyone. I hung out with the sports kids, I hung out with the music kids, I hung out with everyone in between. I went to a small private school, and from kindergarten to 8th grade, so like I had a small group of friends from that. And just like in high school, I kind of just like, I was all over the place, honestly. But like as I've gotten older, like a lot of the people from high school I don't even talk to anymore, that I like would have hung out with every day in high school. And now, like, I think it's like more like the people that I attract, and the people that like I want to be surrounded by, who I feel like I can be myself around, who I don't feel judged by. And I find a lot of those people are artists. Some are not artists. Like my girl, she's not an artist, and she's like supports me 100%. She sees me as who I am, and she wants me to just be myself. So I just think like having people who allow you that space to like, all right, this is who you are, and like I fuck with that, and I think that's just the most important thing you can have around you. If you have people who are naysayers, or like make you feel like you're less than you are, or make you feel like you aren't the person you are, that's toxic for your mental health and for your life.
I mean, to somebody out here, it would look like that you made it. It would look like that you actually doing something for yourself. And I'm not saying that you weren't, but I'm just saying, like, have you had to deal with like people trying to ride the wave, thinking that because you moved to LA, that like they want to be your friend now, or they want to hang out more. Or now, like they probably made multiple stops in California, but now they want to come to LA because they want to see you because they don't know who you possibly be around.
Yeah.
Shit
No,
like
that's definitely a thing, man, and that's. I mean, I just try to steer away from that shit as much as I can, because that just like that's not real connection in my eyes. That's like conditional. It's not unconditional love. It's like, oh, like you're doing something and you have connections out in LA, or you have these things that I could have. I just don't want those types of people around me.
Have you had to deal with that though?
Yeah, for sure. There's like tons of different ways that manifests itself, you know. But I don't know. Like I feel like I'm in a place now where I deal with it less. But like there's always like when I come home, it's always like there's like those interactions where it's like, oh, like what's going on? Or like what, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. It's just all weird. But but yeah, I don't know. I just try to steer away from those people in a lot of ways, and just keep my circle small in a way, and just also be like a good person to people. Like I just want to be a good person at the end of the day. I don't want people to put me on a pedestal. I don't want people to see me as like, oh, you moved to LA, you're doing all this stuff. Like I'm still just a guy, you know what I'm saying? Like I work my ass off. I work hard as fuck to be good at what I do, and like to get to where I am. And I still have so much further to go in my eyes, you know. But at the end of the day, like we're all human, you know. I'm no better than anyone else. I'm just a guy at the end of the day.
So what's something that you would want? I mean, it's probably along the lines of that, but like, what is it that you want people to more understand about you that they probably don't know? Like, what's something that people should know?
That's a good question.
That they don't really know now. I mean, or like it would help them better understand you if they knew this.
I would just say, it's a really good question. I would just say that I'm, like I said, that I'm a human, and like I think for a while, like I wanted to have this cool aesthetic on social media. I wanted it to all, like kind of like I was talking about before, like I wanted to have this image where it was like, oh, like this dude's cool, or like he's got a cool vibe, or whatever it is, because LA too is so about that. It's all about like, oh, like you either got a cool vibe, people judge you off of your vibe, which is like kind of weird, but also I get it at the same time. Like when I'm in the studio with people, obviously, like I feel the energy of the room. That's different, feeling the energy of the room. But people call the vibe like your aesthetic, or like how you present yourself. You know what I mean? So I would just say, like now more than ever, like I think I was a little bit afraid before, to like really put myself, who I really am, like my goofiness, like all these things about myself out there on social media, because I wanted to be cool. And I've always been that cool guy, but like there's these other sides to me where I'm like a goof ass motherfucker, and I like to just like joke around and like lighthearted and fun. I like to do all that stuff. So I'm trying to showcase that more, and just like not take it so seriously, you know, because I took it so seriously for so long.
So what brought about the change to do that?
Because like I just feel like there's so many, like I always talk about this, like when Instagram came out, like everyone was a photographer in a way, because it was like, oh, I can post all these pictures and like put them on Instagram. Now TikTok came out, and like everyone's kind of a music artist, which is, I think is cool. You know, I think everyone should express themselves. I think everyone is an artist at the end of the day. I think a lot of people just don't tap into it. But with that said, like I feel like the people that are trying to put on this musical thing and like post all these things on TikTok, like a lot of people are just doing the same shit. And I think like now more than ever with AI getting involved and stuff like that, like people just want realness, and people just want you to be yourself and like get in front of the camera and just like talk to them, sing to them, whatever it is, and just be yourself, you know? So like that, I'm just trying to do that more than ever, because like I said before, I was trying to like have the cool look and all that stuff, but like I don't know, I think people just want to relate and connect more than ever, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the easiest things to do when you're being creative, is be relatable to where they won't come from a place of judging you. They'll come from a place of,
oh, this guy's like me.
Well, why did he think like that? And then then they try to figure it out. It's more so like it's softness in terms of how they approach it, instead of like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why? You know, it's like, why did he think that? Or
yeah.
Now I'm trying to figure out, why would he do it this way? You know, or I've known him to do it this way instead of this new stuff. Like I don't like, I don't like that, So
yeah,
man, I think being relatable in every aspect. But I think also with social media, I think it also helps, especially with moments and stuff like this, where people won't just be able to just judge you off your music. Some people may not even really like your music, but they love the person that you are.
100%.
So.
Yeah, and they'll never know the person you are if you don't put that out there. If you only put your music out there and like that's it. And for a while, that's kind of what I was doing. I was like, man, I people like me. Like you know what I'm saying? Like people fuck with me every time I go play. It's like cool. So I'm like, why don't I showcase that too? Like I don't have to just be this cool, edgy artist, and that's like got this cool aesthetic, whatever.
So in studio sessions and shit like that, like, did it become a thing where you felt like you couldn't be yourself?
Honestly, I feel like I haven't really. Well, every dynamic's different. I feel like I've always been pretty good about being myself. Ever since high school, I feel like we were kind of talking about it before we started recording, but beginning of high school, like I went to a private school, like K through 8th grade, and then I came into high school. I was dating one of the prettiest girls in the school. She's probably gonna see this, but like I just thought I was like cool, and I was like had all these popular friends and all this stuff, but like that shit didn't even matter. Like I was just following at first like what would make me cool. Like I was hanging out with the kids and playing football because all the cool kids were doing it. I wanted to appear cool. I wanted to appear popular, and then I had this moment sophomore year, probably after I got like laid out by one of the biggest kids in football when they did Oklahomas and put us against each other. I'm like, I'm this scrawny little kid. You put me against him. I was like, why am I playing football? And then I feel like a shift happened in me. I was like, why haven't I been doing music? Why haven't I been playing soccer? All these things. And then like ever since then, I feel like it's been like I just like am like, nah, I don't want to do any of that. Like none of that shit is for me. Like it's just like to make me look a certain way. And like that's like essentially out of insecurity in a way of like wanting to appear a certain way to people,
I went through the same thing. I realized after my first semester of college, when I realized that everybody had their lives going on, and I was really trying to. I did a lot. I ain't gonna lie, good and bad things, to trying to. Thinking I was the cool kid and, and trying to get attention. And so when that faded away, I realized, man.
Like attention's a drug in a way. Like people do a lot of shit for that. You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah, and me included. And by no means that I really flipped the switch. Like even to this day, like there are temptations to do something, like to follow a trend because I think it'll put me out there more. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with doing a trend if it like is authentic to you, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. There's, like I said, it's always a balance. There's always a fine line between things, and it's not black and white,
So how's been the balance of having a job and then still having time for yourself to create, and then also juggling, also being a good boyfriend too?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard a lot of times. It's like, I feel like even this last week, it's just like, I feel like I'm constantly in a whirlwind. Like literally, like there's just always shit to be doing. There's always shit going on.
I appreciate you sitting down with me, man.
Dude,
Give me a little bit of your time, man. Shit, if you got a lot
100%.
going on, man.
No, 100%.
I appreciate that.
And I don't know, it's always, like I said kind of before, it's always about like reassessing. I think it's important to reflect and to always like take a moment. Like I'm big on like meditation and and things like that, and I think it's really important to always check in with yourself and make sure like you're doing good and that the people around you are doing good, because I've fallen into so many times where I get so locked in with the music and stuff like that like my girl, like, it just, like, she's like, I miss you, like, what's going on, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I don't ever want to make her feel like that, because, like, she brings so much joy into my life, and, like, she's the person for me. We're actually engaged, so, like, I'm
man, congratulations,
crazy
man.
shit. Thank you, man.
That's what's up, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So, like, that has been, like, a huge shift in my life, where it's, like, and that also contributes towards like this whole image thing, you know, like in high school and in college, like I was like out in the field, like wanting all the girls to like me, all that shit, and I was like successful at it, not trying to stroke my ego or anything like that, but like I was successful in a way where it was like only to serve my ego. It was like, oh, this girl is like the popular girl and she's attractive, like I want to get her. And then once I got her, it was like, oh, like you kind of suck, like you're just attractive. And that was just like this whole like thing that was just serving my ego that I had to come to terms with. And then when I actually got a good girl in my life, like I still had to wrestle with that because that was like part of who I became at the time. So I just think it's all, like I said, it's all about reassessing who you are and like checking in with yourself. And like if there are things that about yourself where you're like, damn, like I don't like that, like you can fucking change that shit. It might not be easy, but like we can all constantly change, you know what I mean? And that's part of being authentic too, is allowing that change when you're like, nah, I don't fuck with this about myself or whatever it is, you know? But yeah, that's long-winded too. But
that's exactly well put. Especially having those things that, man, people don't see, because they see, like I said, they only see what you put up.
Yeah,
in
right.
terms of the image or whatever you know it is, and you know a lot of people don't understand that the unwind time is really for the most part who you are.
And that's a good point too, because like everyone is just posting their highlight reels, you know what I mean? I talk about this all the time, but it's like everyone on social media, you go to someone's social media, you don't ever see them, unless they, like there's some people probably that do this, but like you don't ever see people posting like, oh, I had a really bad day today, and or they do and they're looking for attention from it, you know? Like usually it's like, oh, like here's my November, and it's like I went to like see Kenny Chesney, I went to like this really expensive restaurant, got this really cool food, was hanging out with really cool people. It's always just like, what's best going on in my life? But that is not life, you know what I mean? Like life is full of ups and downs, always, you know? So I think too, like I really want to spread that message more, and that was like a huge reason that I wanted to do this podcast with you, just like be able to talk about those things and show people that it's okay to be human, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to like have feelings, especially as men. Like I feel like men men are like expected to like be tough, and like especially around each other, like it's like if you show your feelings or like you're emotional about things, like it's like you're a bitch or something like that.
I was just talking about it with him, like old single men or older men that don't really have a woman in their life, or kids that are around, like those are the most miserable people because they're expected to just suck it all up, but sometimes at the end of the day, all we're just looking for is a good conversation with somebody, and somebody to just share what's going on TV sometimes. You know, it's just simple as that. Like, so
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're all looking for love, you know? I think all humans are looking for love at the end of the day, and whether like it's like just like a conversation at, like someone passing by, like, hey, how you doing, you know what I mean? Like that's love, you know what I mean? Like that's just like being kind to people. Like everyone wants that. No one wants to live alone. No one wants to be all sad cooped up in their house, like yelling at people up on their lawn, you know what I'm saying? Like
as much as they said
they might say that, but like something caused them to get like that, or like close off, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know. Like I think that's a big part of who I want to be as an artist and as a person too. Is just showing people that you can be, you know, you can be open. You don't have to like close yourself off, and like to acknowledge the things that have happened in your life. I think that's a huge thing. So many people have gone through so much shit and they just let it build up, and then they become this person they don't want to be because they never dealt with it. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you feel like is one of the things that happened in your life that like caused you to pivot and actually like wake up and realize like that this is wrong and I need to make a change?
I actually had like a very defining moment that caused it. I was after high school. I kind of touched on it before, but like I had everything I wanted in high school. High school was great, and then I graduated, and all of my like actual close friends went away to school, and like I ended up hanging out with other people and who were doing a lot of drugs, selling a lot of drugs, and so I started doing that too. And I was like smoking hella weed. I still smoke weed, but at the time I was smoking hella weed. I was doing like Molly, acid, shrooms like shit. I still do shrooms too, but Molly and acid. I'm not trying to condone it, but like shrooms and weed are cool. But you can cut that part out if you want. But essentially, I got to this point where I was like doing drugs I shouldn't be doing, and my mind, like I literally like snapped, and I was like not good. Like I was out of touch with reality. Like I freaked out in front of like tons of my friends at the time that I was hanging out with, and like I was just like not good. Like my brain, like the chemicals in my brain or something like that, like it was just not good. And from that point on, I was like, oh my God, like I was out of touch with reality. I had to go home. I told my parents I've been doing drugs all the time. They're like, damn, like I knew something was going on, but like, thank you for telling us, like we're gonna like figure this out, all this shit. They were super supportive of me. And I was like going to community college at the time, and I fucking hated it. And so I ended up going to NIU the semester after like cold cutting off all those people in my life, and went to NIU and met some more people. I had a friend, like a childhood friend, that was connected with a lot of people.
For those that don't know, it's Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois University. And like all those people I met at NIU were like so dope and like supported the fuck out of my music. They love my music, and I just found like I almost feel like I like hit rock bottom and then like rebuilt from there, almost like that. It almost feel like I like for the first time actually like saw who I really was in a weird way. Like before it was all my ego, like just me like wanting to be this popular dude or all that shit, and then all that like just made me like totally put me in a different zone, and I feel like I rebuilt everything from there. So like that was definitely the defining moment for me where I like really like shifted things, I feel like. So yeah, don't do drugs. Only moderation.
Man. In Cali where it's legal. But now, and I think that those type of moments also bring us back to reality in ways that nothing else really could have.
100%.
And I mean, and as you said, like you don't condone it, but like some of those things has to be like a hard-headed like lesson, you know, where you have to like go through life and things of that really show you that this is not what you should be doing, and the things that you've been running away from, basically.
Yeah, bro.
Man, it's gonna catch up to you. And I think like I said, I really love the fact that the things that we go through can show us that fast in a blink of an eye, like how fast things change. And do you think that the transition from Illinois to here was a smooth one?
Nah.
Or how would you say like the transition was?
I want to touch on first I wouldn't wish what I went through with the drugs and shit on anyone, but I'm so happy that I went through it. Kind of what you were saying, like it forced me to face my demons.
Man, shit that we ran away from.
Fox those motherfuckers, you know, like for real. And like I couldn't ignore them, and I think partially that was the drugs, and it like brought everything to the surface, and like I was just like it was all laid out on the table. You know what I'm saying? And then touching on your question after that, so just for those that don't know, I grew up in DeKalb, Illinois. It's like a small town outside of Chicago. With this guy, we went to high school together, and I went to college up until I was 22, graduated, and then I moved straight to New York, and I lived in New York for a year, and I always knew I wanted to move to New York ever since I went to New York, and I think when I was like, I want to say senior year high school, we went to New York for a cappella nationals, and I fell in love with the city. I was like, I gotta go to New York, and then I ended up going to college at NIU. Told you a little bit about that story.
Weren't you in choir in high school?
Mm-hmm. Choir and acapella, and our acapella qualified for nationals, and we went to New York and competed.
Damn, that should
Yeah.
take me way back.
And I met a girl. Yeah, that's just crazy.
It literally does. Cause I remember like, cause it made it even more crazy when you made the song with Lil Wu. Cause it was like, you could sing too.
Let's go.
Like you could really sing too. Damn, bro.
Hell yeah.
That should take me. But my bad.
No, you're good.
But
You're
from to New York.
Yeah, I met a girl, and my sophomore year in college, and we both like said that we were moving to New York, and so like that was even more motivation because I had to figure out things about that. So I moved to New York, and I was all on my own. And I was chasing after this girl, and it ended up ending badly with her, and like COVID happened in New York, and I was just alone, smoking hella weed, alone in my apartment. I was working on tons of music, which like I'm super grateful for that time because like literally I didn't have any friends out there. I was literally all by myself, and so I just like honed my craft like that whole time, and it was like hard as fuck just being by myself and like having to navigate that city by myself, but like also such a good experience for myself, like personal growth wise, because like I had to figure a lot of shit out. And then COVID happened. I was like alone in my apartment for like another 5 months in New York, and my homie Kyle, who I'm currently living with now, shout out Kyle, he came and visited me. He's like, bro, I got a job out in LA, like you should move in with me, you should come out there with me. And I thought about it for a little bit, and he ended up driving out to New York and picking me up, and then we drove all the way out to LA and never looked back. And so like that, your question about was it a hard transition, it definitely was a hard transition, but like I wouldn't change anything about it because like you have to go to the places or do the things in order to realize that they're not for you in a way, or that they are. And I think if I would have just stayed in DeKalb, like I would have been miserable low key, because like I have always felt like there was more out there for me, or that I was destined for more. I don't know what it was or why I feel that way, but like I just have always felt that way. And I know like if I was around people who, I feel like a lot of people in DeKalb just like didn't see me for who I actually am, like they just saw me from their point of view of who I am. I felt like I would have been miserable if I didn't go. So I'm so thankful that I did, you know what I mean? And that says nothing against against people from where I'm from. Like I love so many people from DeKalb, and I would never talk badly about them, but I just felt like I needed to do something for myself that was kind of crazy, and that would cause me to grow and put me in a place where I was forced to grow.
Right. Yeah. That's the same reasons that I kind of saw myself not really going back as after I got over the fact that everybody got lives and everything. I just started to realize like it's another reason why I just couldn't gravitate back, because I was, you understand when you go to college or when you leave your hometown that it's more people that have open minds just like you.
Yeah.
Or they're open-minded and they bring a lot of different cultures and a different lot of lingo, a different lot of way of going about things to you. Yeah. That it literally opens up your mind to different conversations, and you start to realize that when I go back home, they still talking about the same things. Mm-hmm. I can count on my hand. Well, I can literally input myself into a conversation back home 3 years removed. Because I already know a little bit of the general what they're talking about.
In a way, you know what I mean?
Literally.
What you just said is like contributes so great to what this podcast is about. Like you talk about people have different lingos, people have different ways of seeing things. Like that's their authenticity showing through. You know what I mean? Based on their experiences and where they're from. And I think that's so dope. You know, I think that's what makes people dope. The definition of the word dope is like you're being authentically you, and it's cool. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. That's good as definition.
That's how I see it. You can put it up on dictionary.com, or I don't know if I'll say that, but that's what I see.
No, big facts, man. And I think, like I said, another reason that I wanted to start the podcast and just wanted to just highlight people just being themselves, because I feel like that, and it originally started with just the thought of, there's so many people, like I said, like I heard you and Lil Wu's song, and I'm thinking like to myself, it's one of the best songs that I've heard. So I'm thinking, why is it not going viral right now?
That's dope you say that. I appreciate it.
Tourist, remember?
Yeah, oh shit.
Tourist.
Take me everywhere.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, so I'm really thinking, you know what I'm saying? I take it to the mall. You remember your solo on that? So I'm thinking to myself, like, why is that not like a huge song? You know what I'm saying? And then you go out there and you realize that some people are just big in their region. But then it's like, why do we sit on our phones? And I'm not trying to go into many different subjects, but it's like, why is it that we're scrolling our phone and we'll play somebody else's music? And I'm victim of it too, so I'm not no way judging, but I'm just saying, like, I just would want better in terms of why can we sit around somebody that does music or that paints pictures or makes movies or anything, and we'll go to the movies and go pay whatever they paying or go to a concert and pay whatever they're paying, and we keep making excuses why we can't take off work because our friend or he's been making music for 3 years and nobody's bought his merch.
I mean,
nobody is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's a good question, bro. And I think that
why don't we push that? Why don't we share that every time we see it? Why is it like it's every so often?
Yeah.
When it's a new when it's popular, like people support you when it's popular. And I don't think that that's a good thing either. I think that if it's like, if you're gonna support me, then support me wherever I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Don't support me because you've seen 50 shares already, so now you like, oh shit, they gonna mention my name and the people that blew up.
Like, oh, I knew him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
people believe it when they see it, bro. You know, and like, it's unfortunate, and I see it all the time. People just peeping my stuff and they never say what's up, they never engage with my shit, and I just feel love for them in a way, you know what I mean? I used to be like, man, what the fuck? Like, I thought we were cool and shit, but like, at the end of the day, like, people can only, like, be, what am I trying to say? People can only rise to like where they see themselves, or like people can only like give as much as they can give themselves. I'm trying to phrase it in a better way, but basically like people can only like if someone's not going to support themselves, basically, like if someone's not going to follow their own dreams and they're not going to follow their own heart, why would they look at someone who's doing that and be like, that's really dope? Like, instead they'd probably be like, oh, well, they probably wouldn't even think this, but they'd be like, well, I wouldn't do that, so I'm not gonna even pay attention to that. And I think that's like a lot of times the case. And I think sometimes too it is that of like, oh well, I'm gonna hang around just in case this person does do something really crazy. I'm just gonna kind of watch or whatever. I don't really know what the answer is, to be honest, but all I know is that it couldn't be me. I want to see everyone win at the end of the day, and that's the honest truth. Like, because like that's what I want for myself. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't even know what I said there or what my answer was.
No, you're good. So would you say like all the people that you're around, in terms of the people that make music, do you share all their stuff and like engage?
For the most part, dude, it's like such like the music industry, especially out here, is such a game of like figuring out people's intentions, because like you never know. Like there's so many, like I've met a lot of people who
How long does it take you to figure that out?
It's a lot of like, you just kind of have to like follow your intuition about things sometimes, and like learn from things that went wrong and allow yourself the space to fail. Like honestly, and like that failing sucks. Like I don't like failing. Like this shit sucks. Makes me feel like shit. But when you fail, like you feel like shit, and you're like, how do I not feel like shit? How do I not do this again? You know what I mean? And that's like so good for you. It's good for all of us. You know what I mean? It's so good to allow ourselves the space to like fall down so that we can get back up, and then show ourselves that we can get back up. You know, but like going forward now, like I try to avoid those types of people, but like it's inevitable to run into those types of people. You just kind of have to like suss it out based on how they act, how they go about business, how they. You wish that people would just wear it on their fucking face, or like be like, have a sign like, I will cut you, stab you in the back. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. But that's just not how it goes.
Man, because how many friends we have then, if that's the case?
What's that?
How many friends will we actually have?
Yeah, right. Like out here, I actually do have like a circle of my friends. You know, Awesome Hop.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's out here.
Didn't he get married or something?
Nah, he's not married. But he's out here. He's been like my best friend since literally day one. But so he's out here with me, so I got like a homie that I know well and he knows me, so like that's huge for me. I got my girl out here, I got Kyle out here.
Was Austin out here before or after you?
He came a little after.
Okay.
Yeah, but just having that group of people that you can trust in a big city is so big, because like if you're just by yourself, like you just want a friend in a way. Like that's how I felt in New York, at least. Like I just wanted, like I wanted that community around me, but I didn't have it. And I just think like from your community is where you can really build yourself up, because those people like help you not stay in line, but they help you make the right decisions. They give their perspective when they think something's off, like the vibes are off with someone or whatever, you know. Like it's proven to be like a really great resource for me. And I'm not saying like my friends are only a resource, like they're my people are everything to me, you know. And I love just that. But yeah, I don't know, it's definitely treacherous waters out here. There's a lot of sharks, but you just gotta do the best you can.
So how long did it take you to get past the glitz and glamour of it all and actually just bunker in and realize, like, if I get too focused on the palm trees and the good weather, then I'll probably be broke as hell?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I would say at first, like, it took me about a year and a half to really get used to LA and like understand kind of how things work. Like I feel like the first year is like kind of like, oh, we're in LA, like you said, like the glitz and glamour and the palm trees, the pretty weather, the pretty women, all that shit. It just is like, it's just like it's such a facade too. Like you think about Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know if you guys went to Hollywood. You're probably familiar with Hollywood Boulevard. But if you went to Hollywood Boulevard, like people have this image of Hollywood Boulevard, like it's like this really dope area where like the stars are and like there's so much fun stuff going on. But if you go there, it's like an apocalypse, bro. It's like fucked. It's weird, bro, and like there's so many spooks out all the time, and just like it's fucked, dude. Like there's a lot of issues here, and like it goes back to like people just like putting a band-aid on shit and making like shit look like a certain way, even though it's like fucked. And like that's like so LA. Like LA is very like that. And no disrespect, bro. I know you're from here, but like that's like it's so like that in a lot of ways. But I will say, like, there are real people out here at the same time, you know. Like you can definitely find real people out here. Sometimes you just gotta like find your way. Like you just gotta, it's like all about navigating it. And like for a long time it took me a while to find that way to navigate it, you know. But and I think also like working at the company that I work with has helped me a lot, because like these guys have already made it and they have shown me kind of like, not giving me a blueprint, but they've helped me like be an entrepreneur as well as an artist, you know what I mean? And I went to school for marketing, so that was always the goal, but like they kind of are giving me like a roadmap way more than I ever had, you know? Like as an artist, you don't really have a roadmap. It's kind of like figuring it out for yourself.
Especially if you don't have a bunch of connections.
Yeah, right.
So has it been hard for you to find connections and actually run across people that actually, not like, because as you said, like, these are your people, but like, have you run across people, like, I mean, like, is it hard in terms of your networking, in terms of knowing, like, if this person can actually do something for me, or is it, like, circumstantial?
I would say networking has not been difficult, but finding people who I would literally call if I got in a car accident, or like those like really actual people you can depend on, that is not as easy when you move somewhere new, I feel like. Which is fine because I have those people already. But for someone who did move out here by themselves, I could understand how it would be very difficult to find those people that you really do trust. With that said too, I think that like networking, I've always wanted, when I first moved out here, I wanted to just like be around people who were already successful, so that would like rub off on me in a way,
Big
you
facts.
know?
No, big facts.
But now more than ever, I just want to be around people who are like, first of all, good people, and second of all, I can just like sense that they're passionate about what they're doing. No matter where they're at, if I can tell that they're passionate, and if I see something in them, like whether that be talent wise or something that they can give to the world, then I want to be around them. You know what I mean? It's not about status for me. It's not about whether they have a lot of money. It's not about any of that. Whether they have clout, more followers than I have. It's about whether I think we can make really cool art together, or whether I want this person around me. You know.
So what would be the best way to describe you?
I'd say
For people that, because people sometimes, like I said, until we have sit downs and shit like this, they'll get a better understanding. But through music, to a degree, and like seeing your, you walking and how you was promoting, like we make these perceptions in our mind already of how somebody is.
Yeah.
But like sit downs like this gives us better understanding. So how would you, for yourself, with the narrative and the mic, how would you describe yourself?
I would say I'm someone that is hella unpredictable, but also extremely adaptable, extremely empathetic. I can both be incredibly introspective, almost to like a detriment, while also being hella fun and the life of the party. As far as my art goes, I think that I just like to make something that I think is really cool, that I don't think is out in the world yet, and that I think captures who I am as a person and as an artist, and that I think people will benefit from, or that needs to be in the world so that people can hear it. Or I make art so that it can like help people, and it helps me too, but like I want it to, like I've always wanted my art to help people, and so I think that's a big part of who I am too. I think that I want to help people in any way that I can, like be the best version of themselves, or get to that place where they are happy with themselves, or they love themselves. And yeah, and by no means has my journey been perfect, you know what I mean? I've made mistakes, and we all make mistakes, and I think it's okay to admit that we make mistakes, you know? But yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of sums it up in a lot of ways.
So what would you say to your younger self in high school now, from all the things that you've learned, looking back? Like, what would you say to him?
I would say to always remind yourself of the big picture, to not get caught up in all the bullshit of the day to day, to not get caught up in the glitz and glamour. I would say to just hone your craft, to not worry about what people think, to definitely to not worry about what people think. I think I used to care a lot about what people think.
Me too.
And that hurts you in every area of your life in a lot of ways, because it hurts you in your relationships, it hurts you in your art. If you're just trying to make people what you think people will like, you're not being true to you, and that shit is not sustainable. It's like I could go make a song just like a super poppin' artist right now. Like I could go make like a Kid Laroi song or something like that. Like that sounds just like Kid Laroi, and it might do well like now, but then what? It's like that's not really me. And then like that, people will know me as like, oh, that guy sounds like Kid Laroi. And then I put out a song that I genuinely, that's like me, and they're like, what the, this is way different, you know what I'm saying? And like that's another thing, like people, if you are presenting yourself a certain way, people see you as that based on their perception of you, like you were talking. And that might not be the reality, and then you have to live in that perception of you, which is just fucked, because that's not you. You know?
Man. That's big facts. Yeah. Man. And I think, like I said, getting away from all of that puts us in a good headspace.
Yeah.
So what would you say is one of your things that you actually do outside of music to just unwind, just relax? What does Adam do in his free time to just relax?
I like to play sports. I do that. I would play basketball, soccer, run. I like to exercise, do that kind of stuff. I just love exploring, honestly. I love going new places, trying like different foods, meeting new people. I like low-key love exploring, like just going adventuring, like going out in nature and like hopping on rocks and shit like that. And like, I don't know, there's just something about that like resets my mind.
I mean, what's been one of the nicest places that you've been? I mean, I know California is probably big enough, so like, what's been one of the places that's been grabbing your attention?
Yeah, there's a lot of places out here that I've really loved. Yosemite was beautiful. We went to this national park in San Diego that was really, really cool. It was like a cliffside kind of thing, and there's just like you could walk down the cliff and like the ocean was right there. It's just so many cool places to explore out here, which is another reason I like being out here. Just like the nature aspect of everything.
Type shit and being able to unwind.
Yeah.
So would you say that, like, would you want to stay still kind of close to the city, or do you see yourself moving away?
I can see myself going either way. I think for the next like 3 years at least, I want to be here. But I definitely want to have a family eventually, you know. And depending on how things go financially, like I want to be able to give my kid everything that they want to have, you know, and it being so expensive, but at the same time, like I don't ever want to have to leave just because it's too expensive in a place. If I really like living here, I don't want to have to be like, oh, we gotta go because you know, like I want to just make it happen. And so I don't know, I do really love it out here, but I could see myself living somewhere else in California. I don't know if I could see myself living anywhere else, low-key. Maybe Chicago. Maybe back in Chicago. I do still love New York. I would like to like live in New York when I was not a struggling artist.
But how was New York though? Like, cause I heard like it's kind of like downtown Chicago too a little bit in terms of like the aggressive manner. Like can't stare at somebody too long or.
Like, I had some weird interactions.
How was that?
It was definitely people are very.
Fast paced, like
people are very fast paced. People are very, very blunt, very blunt. But I will say, people will tell you exactly how they're feeling in New York. Or not like they won't be like, oh my god, I had like such a weird day today, or like that type of shit. But they'll be like, fuck you, or like something like that. You know what I'm saying? Not fuck you, but
no,
you know,
fair.
Yeah. But like that, like you can read their intentions right away. I think there's way more realness in New York than any place I've been in the United States. Like
so
people
are
just,
that?
I like that a lot.
Oh shit.
But it was like kind of jarring at first because like I wasn't used to people like saying get the fuck out of my way or whatever it is, you know, and like shit like that. People are way more to the point there because they just literally don't have the time. But like I made some connections in New York that like I have still to this day because people like once you connect with people in New York, like it's not like here where like they might be around for a little bit and then until they get what they have from you, they dip. In New York, it's like, oh, I actually like fuck with you, so like I kind of want to stick around, you know. So I think that's like a big difference I noticed, and that's kind of like Chicago too. I feel like Chicago people are way more like not open, but like friendly. Well, maybe not friendly because there's a lot of
snakes.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like upfront as.
Yeah, upfront. I think upfront's the right way to put it.
In terms of like how they feel and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like
it's not as out loud as New York though.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about.
No, definitely. It's not like out here. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I feel like New York and Chicago are less that way. Yeah.
So do you find that a little bit harder to make friends and stuff like that?
Out here?
Yeah, because it's not like there's certain things that you really can't change about a person, and how you adjust is a little bit different. So when you understood like it's kind of smoke and mirrors, and it's gonna be a little bit more that you have to do time spent maybe, or be in a unfortunate situation where you'll figure out somebody's true colors other than like everywhere else. It's a little bit more upfront.
Yeah, I think I when I first moved out here, I wanted to be friends with a lot of people that I worked with, and I don't think that was kind of naive, because it's okay to just have business relationships with people. You know, like not everyone, even though you might like who they are, you might fuck with them. Like at the end of the day, to them it could just be business, you know, and like that's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But like I think there were a few times I set myself up to kind of like feel some type of way about a situation. I thought I was friends with the person, but it ended up just being business, you know. Because I feel like I kind of like wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit. Like I'm like just like up front like that. I'd say that's another thing about me. If you from that question earlier, I like am very upfront with how I'm feeling, like my emotions, all that shit. So I think when you do that, like you allow yourself to easily be hurt because you're putting yourself all the way out there. You're putting yourself like laying it out all on the table, and people can like take with it what they want, you know. So I've learned that I don't want to change that about myself, but that you know, I just have to be conscious of that. That like not everyone's gonna fuck with me in the way that I want them to. You know what I mean?
So getting a little bit to the music, how would you say like what's your creative process in terms of like where do you come up with these ideas? Do you just like do you punch in, or do you look at something and then get inspiration from that, or like where is it that you get your music from? Because after a while, and I played around with music, but like after a while you kind of run out of things. Do you feel like that you run out of things to say or no?
No, but there have been times where I felt like I was making the same song over again. But that to me is just an indicator that I need to go live my life a little more. Like when I feel like I get into a space where I'm like, I just feel like I'm making the same shit over and over again. That's an indicator to me that I need to take a step away for a little bit and like go live my life so that I can come back with a fresh perspective.
Type shit.
You know? But as far as my process goes, like, I like to, when I'm coming up with like song ideas and melodies, whether I'm producing the track from the start or whatever, like a lot of times I'll lay down some chords or something like that. But my favorite thing to do is to just go in the booth and literally just freestyle melodies. And then like I get like a feeling or like a vibe for the song that I like. And then whatever melodies I like, I'll like mumble shit. I'll be like, or whatever it is, you know, and then I'll take that melody and I'll actually write words to it that like match the feeling that I conveyed. And that's definitely my favorite way to write. That's what I like gravitate towards.
Where'd you come up with that process, or was it just like?
It kind of was organic. Like I always just like had my mic next to me while I was like putting together stuff, and I would just like whatever it was, and then I would be like, oh, that's a cool ass melody. I gotta write something to that, and yeah. So it's kind of like that. I went through a phase too for a little bit where I was just like actually like writing everything. Sometimes I'll still do that, like if I'm at a coffee shop or something like that, and I'm not actually like record in the studio where I can just go record. I'll like record a voice note, or I'll just write lyrics, kind of thing. But a lot of times too, if I'm producing the track or if I'm working with someone, like we'll create the vibes first, like come up with chords, get like some drums on it, and then I'll go in there and kind of freestyle and figure out a concept and kind of run with that.
So what helps push you in the mood? Like, do you need any drinking, or do you need any weed? Or
I mean, I definitely like weed. Definitely like puts me directly in that zone. But I will say sometimes I'm less focused when I smoke. Like I'm more like just want to be creative and like come up with cool ideas. And I do come up with a lot of cool ideas when I smoke. But at the same time, I've been finding that just going in with like a clear mind, especially after I like meditate or something like that, and I just like feel like I'm in a creative space, like I'm just way more like locked in when I might not feel as locked in. I feel like when I smoke, I just feel so in the zone and like I'm so into it. When I don't feel as in the zone, but I still come up with everything I want to come up with in the end. So I'm in, yeah.
So do you feel like are you against like doing a lot of features?
No, not at all. I guess I haven't done that many features.
Yeah, I was definitely wondering as I was going. I'm like, but have you had any opportunity to?
Yeah, I've collaborated with a lot of people. Honestly, especially moving out here, like especially, I've collaborated with a lot of people. My last album, Wavy Boy, that I put out was like a total collab album with the producer. He featured on one of the tracks too, because he's an artist as well. But that's been huge for me, is just collaborating with other people and seeing how they work and things like that, because it like you can get so locked into your creative process and like your sound that like you just like if you don't have anyone else to bounce ideas off of, like you kind of hit a ceiling in a way, you know, like you kind of need those people to bounce ideas off of who bring their own, you know, styles to the table, because that's where you can really come up with something interesting, you know. And like my first like the first three projects I did all by myself, and then it's just like, all right, what's next? Like, it's like I already did all this. Like, I want to work with other people. I want other people to like challenge me and like bring their ideas to the table, and like, you know, us to like really like craft out something that we genuinely both like, or like however many people I'm working with. I just think like collaboration is just like such a cool way to like really create something dope, you know. But yeah.
So like, how do you decide like what music is going out and what music isn't? What type of thing, like? Because I know you said you a roommate and a girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, shit, like, do you, before you put it out, like, do you have them come in here and listen to it and
Yeah.
have like a mini listening party within the music?
Yeah, I definitely send it out to people that I trust. I play everything for my girl because I like hearing her perspective, because she doesn't do music, and so she's like just like a listener of music. So like she's not thinking like, oh, like you should have picked a different snare, or like, oh, like that synth is kind of like maybe you should have taken the cutoff off of that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like she thinks like, well, I want your voice to like be more prominent there, or like or like I don't really know like how to feel about this song or something like that, and that makes me like think like, oh, okay, like maybe the song doesn't have like a direct emotion. Or,
So
like,
it's all
something.
like constructive criticism. You don't feel like, oh, well, you don't like my song?
Not at all, never. And I would rather people like, I don't want yes men around me. I don't want people to just be like, yeah, dude, it's so cool, like it's so dope. When it's not, you know, like I want to be the best artist I can be, and I think the people around me know that, and they know that they can tell me when something's whack, you know.
But how do you determine the difference between somebody that you could just never please? You know, it's always that no matter what you do, you just can't please, and they'll always find something. So how do you determine the difference, or distinguish the difference when somebody's actually trying to give you critiqueful help because they actually want to see you do better, or somebody that no matter what you would have brought them, even if you would have brought them a song that was great, they still would have said, well, I like the song, but if you did it, and it was like, you know.
I just look for like consistencies with people. I feel like if someone's always giving me like bad feedback and they're never saying anything good, I'm like, this motherfucker's just a hater or something. like you don't like anything about this song. But no, I always appreciate both ends. Like I like positive feedback, I like negative feedback. I think I have a good example. We sent a demo of one of the tracks to this person, and they had a comment of like, oh, well, you started right on the beat on the verse, chorus, and the pre-chorus, and like that was something they had just learned, that you shouldn't start on the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus all at the same spot. Like you should let the beat hit and then come in on some parts, or some things like that. But they had just learned that, and so they thought that was like a universal rule in music that everyone should follow. So that when they listened to our demo, they saw that I did that, and they're like, oh, I don't like it because you did this. But it was like them seeing it from a narrow perspective of only because they just learned something that I did that was against what they thought I should do. Does that make sense?
No, hell yeah, I don't know.
And so like people can get like everyone's perspective, like everyone has their own perspective, and there are so many things that can influence that perspective. So just understanding that you should take everyone's perspective with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, like I'm the captain driving my own ship. So like if I really fuck with something and someone's like, I don't like that, I'm not just gonna change it just because they didn't like it. I'll think about it and be like, oh, okay, you don't like it because of that. Well, maybe I could tweak this little thing and maybe that would make it better. Or, nah, I really like how it is. I think I'm going to keep it. But just like allowing yourself to be flexible and open, I think is really important, because, you at the end of the day, you're the executive CEO of your art. So like, it's like you get to make the call, and you can take in all the perspective in the world, you take all the negativity, whatever, you still get to make the decision. So it's like,
And I never wanted it to just be a thing where it was just like me just interviewing artists and shit like that. I always wanted it to be just a wide range of people. So because the end goal, and I'm not sure if I even told you this, but like the end goal that I see for this is just creating an avenue where, because growing up similar to you, like I said, like I did a lot of things that other people was doing. I was bigger, so, and as I got older, I started to realize that that was the thing that helped me with sports. So that's why I played sports, and you know, I realized that you can get a scholarship out of this.
Hell yeah.
And people kept telling me, "Well, you don't look like you're 16. You don't look like you're 15. You better be playing sports somewhere." And then like I said, when I realized that it could take care of my parent, my mom, and the whole situation, or at least make it easier.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not do it? But I realized that I was kind of a slave to it. And like I said, it came with benefits. It came with benefits. Like I said, I met a bunch of great people, got out of my comfort zone. But I realized that I was kind of slave to it because I don't know, I really didn't even, I made up in my mind very fast that I didn't want to go to the league. And starting this, I wanted it to be a wide range of people that I bring on my podcast, and just helping people understand that you can be you in so many ways, and asking you about like the ups and downs of the things that you go through, and helping people get a better understanding. Because like I said, it's people like you that aren't celebrities, but man, I ain't gonna lie, like I said, great music, good person, and people need to highlight these type of things more, you know. And I feel like that you being a part of it, man, I appreciate it. And I ain't gonna lie, shit, I definitely see this in the long run, on the long way, because I think that it'll be a doorway for people to understand you know, at least through my eyes and the questions that I've been asking, you know. So
definitely. I just want to say too, man, like I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you reaching out. Like I love doing this kind of stuff, and I'm glad we got to reconnect, and I really fuck with what you're doing. I think you have a great idea, and just like it's genuine, you know. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And it sounds like you're really passionate about it, and yeah, man, I believe in it. I think you're gonna take it as far as you want to take it.
Man, go stream dreaming now, man. Appreciate you, Adam, man. Appreciate it.
I got it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Let me get like a 3-second pose
Let's go.
for the thumbnail type shit. In front of it was all a dream. I want to get that in there.